is a powerful force.
A passionate and intense relationship.
It can bring people together.
She would have done anything to ensure that they could live happily ever after together.
And tear them apart.
She needed to eliminate him for her own happiness.
100 miles north of Sydney, Australia, in the quiet town of Maitland, 2007. Renae Burns prepares for a family barbecue.
Steve, can you please give me a hand?
Her partner, 30-year-old Stephen Quire, dotes on their kids, but he struggles to please Renae.
Stephen worked hard, brought home his paycheck, supported his family. He was described by others as a normal, hard-working guy.
Stephen has one child with Renae, and his stepfather to another.
Stephen Quire had taken over the role of the father to the child of Renae Burns, and it's quite clear that that child worshipped the ground he walked on.
He loved her, and he raised her little girl as if she was his own.
Their guests today are Stephen's sister Amanda and her new partner, 23-year-old Tanya Lane.
Through that relationship is how she fostered relationships with both Stephen Quire and Renae Burns.
Over the next few months, Tanya becomes close to the couple. Renae cherishes this exciting new friendship. Because her own relationship is disintegrating.
I'm not a tea towel.
My hands are dry.
Off me.
What's your problem?
They argued a lot, they fought a lot. Neighbours said they heard them fighting a lot.
She's not the only one with problems.
I'm so sorry to hear about you, Renae. That's for the best.
Tanya Lane's relationship with Amanda had ended by then. Tanya was spending a lot of time at the Rutherford home.
I've been thinking about you.
When Tanya and Amanda break up, Tanya turns to Renae for comfort.
Sorry,
But she wants more than a shoulder to cry on.
Go back to my place? Yeah.
Renae and Tanya became lovers.
They went to great lengths to conceal the relationship. They purchased mobile phones
I got money. Don't let Steve say anything.
for the specific use of communicating with each other.
Hello?
Hi, sexy. Wanna come over to my place?
Yes.
Renae Burns had commenced a relationship with Tanya Lane, a passionate and intense relationship.
I wish I could stay here forever.
Tanya is head over heels,
What about the girls?
but Renae won't leave her kids. For Tanya, a part-time lover is not enough.
Tanya Lane was besotted with Renae Burns and would have done anything to keep the relationship going.
On December 23rd, 2008, Tanya asks for a meeting with her lover's partner, Stephen. Intrigued to know what's going on, Stephen agrees to a late-night walk.
They walked away from houses. They walked away from where people might be able to see what was going on. All of a sudden, this four-wheel drive emerged.
A man got out and shot Steve in the head.
The gunman turns to Tanya. He doesn't shoot her. He abducts her.
She was only detained for a matter of minutes before this man wearing the balaclava released her.
There was no demand for ransom and she wasn't hurt.
Incredibly, Stephen survives the shooting. But the police can't trace the gunman.
No one was ever arrested or charged in relation to the shooting.
Hey, Dad, we're really hungry.
We're gonna order pizza.
If Stephen expects sympathy from Renae, he doesn't get it. Instead, he's left to deal with the kids, while their mom is missing in action.
Steve was very frustrated and angry.
Where have you been?
Met up with Tanya. Went for a drink.
3. It's been 4 hours.
We got talking. Actually had some fun for a change.
The relationship deteriorated. Some fun? Why do you think you can change your side?
You're pathetic.
Stephen doesn't realize how close he's come to the truth. Tanya's concocting a way to have Renae all to herself.
Love triangles can be, and frequently are, dangerous.
January 2010. The country town of Maitland, Australia. Lovers Renae Burns and Tanya Lane are trying to keep their affair quiet, but they can't hide their passion.
Tanya Lane was there a lot of the time, and a lot of their neighbours and friends suspected that something was going on.
It's him. He's early. Depressed.
Renae Burns' partner, Stephen Quire, ignores the gossip until he comes face to face with the truth.
Steve,
What the hell?
she doesn't love you. It's over. Steve, let her go. Take go. It's okay.
Stephen Quire banned her, said that he didn't want Tanya Lane ever coming back to the house again.
Oh, well, aren't you just the hero? You big man.
When Steve found out that Renae was involved intimately with Tanya, Steve and Renae began to fight, not only verbally, but physically.
Stephen is now convinced of one thing. Tanya was behind the attempt on his life.
Stephen believed that Tanya Lane had lured him to that location.
Steve believed that Tanya had been the one that shot him, but he stayed around. He forbid Renae to see Tanya.
The two lovers can't bear to be parted.
You okay?
Yeah. Kind of.
Leave it to me.
In late February 2010, Tanya and Renae finally get their wish.
Renae Burns moved out of the house and moved in with Tanya Lane.
But their newfound bliss is shattered when police come knocking.
So when did you last see Stephen?
They bring sad news.
Stephen's dead.
Stephen Quire has been found dead.
His body was in a state of decomposition at the time it was found in the national park.
He had a gunshot wound to the chest and has been dead for weeks.
Our focus was, well, who was Stephen Quire and why would someone want him dead?
Why are you asking?
His former partner Renae seems unfazed. She and the kids haven't seen Stephen for a month.
I thought he'd left.
The least Renae could have done was report her husband missing to the police, but that didn't occur to her.
The police smell a rat.
They were very suspicious immediately that both women were involved.
There's no evidence linking either woman to the killing. Until detectives discovered Tanya Lane has recently been shopping for a gun. An ex-con tells cops he supplied her with a unique weapon.
He said I was able to obtain a gun for her and sold it to her for $700.
It was a World War II flare gun that had been modified to fire shotgun ammunition.
Tanya Lane is charged with murder. The police believe Renae lied to protect her lover, and she's charged as an accessory to murder.
Both Tanya Lane and Renae Burns colluded between each other to invent false stories as to the potential whereabouts of Stephen.
With both women proclaiming their innocence, prosecutors must piece together Tanya's murder plot.
She planned this killing. She travelled to the home of Renae Burns and Stephen Quire late in the evening. She went into the house.
Tanya Lane was desperately in love with Renae Burns and would have done anything to ensure that they could live happily ever after together.
After the murder, Tanya dumps Steve's body and the gun. In court, Tanya insists she's innocent. But in prison, it's a different story.
Tanya Lane had made a telephone call from jail where she admitted that she was the shooter.
Her own words seal Tanya's fate. In August 2013, she changes her plea to guilty and is sentenced to 17 years behind bars. Renae Burns pleads guilty to accessory to murder after the fact. She receives 4 years in prison.
Renae Burns definitely knew about the killing, but the evidence is fairly sparse as to where she was and what she knew and when.
Tanya's dream of being with Renae